with Fist Foot Way, you didn't write that, right? Jody Hill wrote it?
Me and Jody wrote it together.
You wrote it together. And you guys shot that on Super 16 or no?
Super 16, yep.
Okay. And you made that without going through SAG and stuff, right?
No, it was totally independent. I think we shot it for about 70 grand. Shot it in like a little less than 3 weeks. And yeah, it was all just buddies. Everyone just came down there to do it. And yeah, I mean, it was, Jody and I had both lived in LA for a few years at that point, and, you know, neither of us had found like any real success. And so it was sort of a Hail Mary of just like, all right, let's just see if we can kind of do this on our own.
And what do you notice that's easier about doing a film like that, or doing something where you have to go through all the, where everything is more, guilds and all of that?
You know, if you're at a place where you can afford the guilds, then you already have a leg up. You know, you're already kind of in the zone. That thing there was like, there's no one trying to help us make it. There's no one, you know, they don't care about it not being the guilds because they just don't ever think it'll see the light of day. So, you know, every bit of that is a fight, because not only do you have to kind of get the resources and figure out how to do it and how to talk people into coming and doing it when there's no upside for them. But then even once it's done, there's no guarantee that anything will ever happen with it, you know? And so I think that can be pretty discouraging for people sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Like we made this movie and now we're figuring out, like, we wrote it and everything, we funded it ourselves. So it's super scary because you're like, all you really have right now is this piece of debt kind of.
Yeah.
But then it's like too long right now. It's just like, we got to figure it out. It just seems like I don't know. The whole thing's been super fascinating.
Yeah, it's a crazy process. And now especially the entertainment industry's changed so much, and yeah, it's all risk, it seems like these days.
Yeah. Do you envy things about the entertainment industry right now, like as opposed to whenever you kind of first got into it?
You know what I find interesting is like I went to film school in North Carolina. That's where I met Jody Hill and a lot of the guys I work with. And you know, in the 90s, there was just like such a healthy, independent like film market. I mean, you were going to film school and you're seeing guys like Tarantino and, you know, Kevin Smith and all these dudes are just like making stuff that's pretty simple and it's not requiring massive budgets, and they're finding audiences. And so it was inspiring. You felt like you could do it, like you were, like anyone could do it. And it's kind of funny that it was much harder to make an independent film then. I mean, you had to shoot on film. You had to like, there was all these elements of things that were super expensive.
Oh yeah. And
it seems kind of crazy that with technology, it should be easier than ever to make something independent, but it feels like the market is like not as healthy as it used to be. And yeah, it's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I think, but something new will come out of it, right? That's how you kind of think, like, how does this evolve? What happens next? You know, that sort of thing. Was there a movie that you like that you wrote, or a role or some little piece of something that you wanted to do that once you started to get a little older? Because I'm like, fuck, this thing would have been great like 7 years ago. I think I could have pulled it off, but now it's just, like, do you ever think like that? Like, was there something you had? You're like, fuck, now I'm gonna have to cast somebody to do it instead of do it.
It's so hard writing stuff that most of the time when I have written something, it's been with the intention of going and making it. I only have a few things that I've written that I didn't kind of move on, but most of them were just because it wasn't any good and it wasn't something to kind of pursue. But luckily, all the stuff I've really put my energy into, I've been able to see it to fruition in some way or another.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever do stand-up too, or no?
I never did stand-up, no. I mean,
You desire to, you think?
I didn't really, you know, honestly, I didn't even really have any ambitions to be an actor. It's like, you know, I went to film school to write and to make. I always kind of imagined I would just be behind the camera and, you know.
And that's true 100%?
100%, yeah. I mean, yeah, I didn't have any ambitions of trying to be an actor at all. David Green, who was another classmate of mine, he made this movie called All the Real Girls.
Bring it up.
It's a beautiful film about first love and Appalachia.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, but he had an actor who backed out of the show at the last minute, and it was an independent movie, and he just asked me to come down and play the role because he didn't have time to cast somebody else. And it was the very first time I ever acted in anything. And after Jody saw it, he wanted to make a movie, and he was like, well, you're the only person we know who's been in something, so it's funny that we thought that was a leg up. Just that dude right there we thought would somehow get something made.
Dude, it's so crazy though when you go from an idea, like, even with this movie, like, it was all emails, and then we show up one day on set and there was a real movie going on. Dude, I had to sit down for a while. I was like, oh my God, I thought everybody's just fucking around. Like,
Yeah.
and then it was a real movie, and there's like people, and people don't know what they're doing, and people do know what they're doing. People are yelling, and but it was like, oh my God, this is really it. And then you realize it's so hard to make something really too, because so many little things happen. Like we got pushed by the fire for a week, and it was like suddenly that changes everything. And you don't know if people are, and then we had to shoot one day, the day with Steve Little, where it's like the winds were 40 miles an hour. We can't afford to reshoot. So it's like, fucking pretend that the winds aren't 40 miles an hour.
We had the same thing on Gemstones here. I mean, that's what a lot of this stuff becomes, is it becomes surrounding yourself with just strategists, like people on your team that just know how to solve problems, because that's what 100% what all making anything is you got your idea of what it's going to be, and then every day it's dealing with something that's coming your way to make it less than what you want it to be.
Yeah.
And you got to figure out how to navigate it. Yeah, when we shot the season of Gemstones, right near the end, like there's this like pretty specific location to this season, and I fought really hard to be able to get in this place and shoot there, but we only had limited time. And the night before we had to shoot like the last scene of the entire series, Hurricane Helena comes through that part of Carolina and just like decimated everything. And this location that we're at, it's like 100-mile-per-hour winds, no power. And it's like, there's no alternative. We have to shoot this thing. You have to just do it. So it's like, well, once these hurricane force winds die down, maybe we'll try to get some extension cords and finish this thing off. And that's exactly what we did. It was crazy.